POV. You finally buy a house, and somehow you still feel broke. Not because buying a home is a mistake. It is not. A home can give you stability, privacy, equity, and a feeling that renting never gave you. But the trap is this. Buying a house can make you look financially successful before it actually makes you financially secure. The mortgage is only the beginning. After the keys come property taxes, insurance, utilities, repairs, maintenance, furniture, tools, landscaping, and the quiet pressure to make the house look like the life you imagined. House poor is what happens when you own the home, but the home owns the rest of your money. That is why a house can feel like a dream on closing day and a cage 3 months later. The payment may technically fit on paper, but the life around the payment becomes too tight to breathe. The numbers show why this matters. First-time homebuyers have become older and rarer. Mortgage rates are still high compared to the ultra-low rate years, and hidden homeownership costs can reach more than $21,000 a year before you even count the mortgage itself. Today, we are going to follow one ordinary life. Not a millionaire, not someone reckless. Just Theo, a 32-year-old man who finally buys the house he thought would make him feel stable, only to realize that becoming a homeowner and becoming financially free are not the same thing. Sometimes the house is not the problem. The problem is buying the house before your freedom can survive it. For years, Theo heard the same message from everywhere. Renting is throwing money away. Buy as soon as you can. Get on the property ladder. Stop paying someone else's mortgage. And none of it sounded reckless. It sounded responsible. Theo was 32. He had a stable job. He made decent money. He had been renting for years. Every time rent increased, the thought came back stronger. Maybe it is time. He wanted something permanent, a place where he could paint the walls without asking permission, a quiet office, a small backyard, a front door that belonged to him. The dream was not about showing off. At least, that is what he told himself. It was about stability. But money dreams are rarely only about numbers. They are also about identity. To Theo, buying a house meant he had finally crossed into the next version of adulthood. It meant he was no longer temporary. He was planted. So when the listing appeared, he felt something move in his chest. 3 bedrooms, good light, a small yard. Not perfect, but close enough to imagine a life inside it. Theo opened the photos again and again, not because he needed to, because he was already living there in his head. The house cost $420,000. Theo knows that number should scare him a little, but the mortgage calculator makes it feel possible. He adjusts the down payment. He adjusts the rate. He checks the monthly payment again. It is high, but not impossible. That phrase becomes dangerous, not impossible. The lender says he qualifies. The agent says the market is competitive. A friend says if he waits too long, prices may only get worse. His parents say buying young is better than waiting forever. Everyone sounds confident. So Theo starts borrowing confidence from other people. The monthly payment is bigger than his rent, but he tells himself part of it is equity. The property taxes are higher than expected, but he tells himself that comes with ownership. The insurance feels annoying, but necessary. The inspection finds a few issues, but nothing dramatic. Every concern has an answer, and every answer makes the decision feel safer. But qualifying for a house does not mean the house fits your life. It only means the lender believes you can probably make the payment. Those are not the same thing. A lender tests whether your income can survive the mortgage. Your life has to survive everything else. Before closing, Theo should have asked one better question. Not, can I buy this house? Can my life breathe after I buy it? That question comes down to 4 numbers: monthly take-home pay, mortgage payment, hidden housing costs, automatic savings. If the house only works when automatic savings disappear, the house does not actually fit. It only fits by stealing from the future. Theo's take-home pay looks strong. The mortgage looks possible. The taxes and insurance look survivable. But then the hidden costs start showing up before they even happen. Higher utilities, small repairs, tools, furniture, a house reserve. More driving, more maintenance, more things that were never part of apartment life. Theo does the math, but he does it emotionally. He looks for permission, not pressure. He wants the house to work, so every number bends a little in his mind. Maybe utilities will not be that bad. Maybe repairs can wait. Maybe the emergency fund can be rebuilt later. Maybe the next raise will make it easier. That is how people become house poor. Not always by buying a terrible house. Sometimes by buying a good house with too little margin. Closing day feels unreal. Theo signs document after document. The numbers are huge, but by that point, they almost stop feeling like real numbers. They become part of the ceremony. Then someone hands him the keys, and for a moment, everything feels worth it. Theo walks through the front door alone that evening. The house is empty. The rooms echo. The walls are bare. Just space. His space. He stands in the kitchen and smiles in a way he has not smiled in months. He did it. He bought a house. He takes a photo of the keys on the counter. His mother sends heart emojis. His friends congratulate him. One of them writes, "Homeowner now. Look at you." Theo reads that message twice. Homeowner. For one night, he does not think about the payment. He thinks about becoming someone. Then the first month begins. Moving costs, a locksmith, cleaning supplies, a basic tool set, curtains, a ladder, a lawnmower he never needed in an apartment. Each purchase feels reasonable. You need these things when you own a house. That sentence becomes the homeowner version of, I can afford it. You need these things. And that is how the first leak starts. Not under the sink, in the budget. The first real crack comes in the 4th month. The air conditioning fails during a hot week. At first, Theo hopes it is something small. Maybe a filter. Maybe a setting. Maybe one of those problems the internet can solve in 10 minutes. It is not. The technician looks at the unit, says a few things Theo only half understands, and then gives him a number that makes the room feel smaller. $3,800. Theo laughs once, not because it is funny, but because his brain needs somewhere to put the shock. He can pay it, technically, but paying it means draining most of what is left in his emergency fund. It means the credit card balance may come back. It means the next few months suddenly feel tight. That night, the house is cool again, but Theo does not sleep better. Because the house payment was not the only payment. It was just the first one. And this is the strange part. House poor does not always look poor. Theo still has a nice home, a good job, a driveway, a backyard, a front door that belongs to him. From the outside, his life looks more successful than before. But inside, his financial life, he feels less flexible. He says no more often, but not because he wants to. He delays investing, just for a few months. He avoids checking the full monthly picture because he already knows how it will feel. Heavy. The house did not make him irresponsible. It made every decision more expensive. A dinner out feels different now. A weekend trip feels different. A small repair feels different. Even buying something for the house feels different, because every purchase seems to carry a second question behind it. Can I afford this? Or am I just making the house harder to survive? That is the house poor illusion. You can look more stable while becoming less flexible. You can own more while having less room to breathe. You can build equity while losing the ability to handle life calmly. People see the keys. They do not see the margin disappearing. The hardest part is not the math. It is what the house represents. Proof that Theo is responsible. Proof that he is growing up. Proof that he is not behind. Proof that the years of renting finally led somewhere. So when the numbers get tight, he does not say the house is too much. He says the first year is always expensive. He says he just needs to settle in. He says things will feel better after the next raise. And maybe some of that is true. But underneath those explanations is fear. The fear that if the house is too much, maybe he made the wrong adult decision. That is money psychology. A house is not just shelter. It can become identity. And once your identity lives inside the house, it becomes hard to ask whether the house still fits your freedom. The spreadsheet may show the problem before your ego is ready to admit it. And that is why people stay house poor longer than they should. Not because they cannot see the numbers, because the house has become part of who they are trying to prove they became. Theo does not fix the problem by hating the house. The house was not the enemy. The lack of margin was. So he creates a homeowner reset. Rule 1. No cosmetic upgrades for 90 days. No new furniture unless something is truly necessary. No decor projects. No backyard transformation. No buying things just because the house still does not look like the photos he saved. Rule 2. Every paycheck funds the house reserve first. Not just a general emergency fund, a separate house reserve. Money for repairs, maintenance, deductibles, tools, and the strange costs that arrive when a building becomes your responsibility. Rule 3. Every raise protects the housing gap. Before lifestyle expands, before a nicer car, before any upgrade that makes the house feel more complete, at least half of any new income goes to savings, investing, or reducing debt. Rule 4. The house cannot pause the rest of the future. Theo still invests, even if the amount is smaller for a while. He still builds cash. He still keeps career flexibility alive. Because the point of owning a home is not to sacrifice every other form of freedom. The point is to build a life that can hold the home without being crushed by it. The next few months do not look impressive. Theo does not post new furniture. He does not renovate the kitchen. He does not turn the backyard into a dream space. Instead, he makes his life less fragile. The house reserve grows slowly. The credit card balance goes down. He cancels a few costs that were more about image than happiness. He learns which repairs can wait and which cannot. He stops treating every empty room like an emergency. At first, this feels like failure. He owns the house, but he is not living the fantasy version of ownership. Then something changes. A small plumbing repair comes up, and the money is already there. Not all of it, but enough. The bill is still annoying, but it does not ruin the month. That is when Theo understands what he was really missing. Not a better house, not better furniture, not a more impressive version of home ownership. He was missing breathing room. And breathing room is what makes ownership feel like stability instead of pressure. The real lesson is not that buying a house is bad. A house can be a powerful financial decision. It can create stability. It can build equity. It can give you control over your space. It can become part of a long-term wealth plan. But only if you buy it with enough margin. A house without margin becomes a beautiful source of pressure. A mortgage without a reserve becomes a monthly threat. Ownership without liquidity becomes a version of success that cannot survive normal problems. So if you want to buy a house, do not only ask whether you qualify. Ask whether you can breathe after you qualify. Ask what happens when the roof leaks, the car breaks, the insurance rises, the property tax changes, or your income gets interrupted. Ask whether the house still allows you to invest, save, rest, and say no. Because the goal is not to buy a home and spend the next 10 years afraid of the next bill. The goal is to own a home that supports your freedom instead of replacing it. Looking successful asks, can I afford the house? Becoming free asks, can my life survive the house? So if this is your POV, if you finally buy a house and still feel broke, remember this. You are not crazy. But you do need margin. Build a house reserve. Freeze cosmetic upgrades for 90 days. Protect part of every raise. Keep investing alive. And never let a house become the reason your entire financial life stops moving. Because buying a house can give you stability, but only margin can turn that stability into peace. Comment house reserve below if you want part 2, where Theo builds the exact system that keeps homeownership from becoming a financial cage. Subscribe to Theo Finance for more cinematic personal finance stories about money psychology, homeownership, lifestyle pressure, and financial freedom. Because sometimes the scariest version of homeownership is not being unable to buy a house. It is finally owning one and realizing you bought a life you cannot breathe inside.